Good morning, class. Today we are going to be talking about imagery. First, I want to go over our classroom expectations. Number one, be respectful to teachers, peers, and property. Second, be prepared to have all the materials you need to have before class starts. And third, be active learners. That's participating, focusing, listening, and doing instructions the first time. So first, we're going to go over a couple of things that we should already know from before. So can I get a volunteer to tell me what your 5 senses are?
I got it. They're your taste, touch, smell, and sight.
Perfect. All right, can I get another volunteer to tell me what adjectives are?
They're words that describe things.
Exactly. And how about figurative language? Anyone got that one?
Language that does not have its normal / literal meaning.
Awesome job. How about literal language?
It means exactly what's written.
Perfect. And technical language, anyone know what that one is? This one's a little tough.
They're skills and terms used by a specialist.
Exactly. Got that one right on the nose. And lastly, what are literary devices? Anyone remember that from last unit?
Writing techniques used to create an effect in writing.
Awesome. You guys totally know what's going on. How about, can anyone tell me what a sense is? I know we listed them, but what do senses do? What do we do with them?
Don't they help us hear, see, taste, feel?
Exactly. How about an adjective? Adjectives are something that describes something, so we use them when we are describing something. How about a metaphor? Can anyone tell me what a metaphor is? No? They are comparisons without using what?
Actual words?
Without using like or as. So we'll be talking about those a little bit further. So today we're going to be learning about a new concept, and we're going to follow along together on the diagram I'm handing out to you guys. This will be filled in with all the information that we will need. You will be using the concept mastery routine to help you understand the new literary device. And this will help us to better understand it and use the device when reading and writing. So the first thing we're going to go over, I'm going to put it up on the dot cam for you guys so you can see, and I'll even turn out the lights for you. Alright, so the concept name is going to go in the first box here. Lines up with our number 1, convey concept. And our concept is imagery. So we're going to fill that into the first box. Alright, our number 2 is the overall concept. So imagery is a part of the literary devices that we know. So we're going to write that in for the overall concept. Everyone got that? All right, third, we have keywords. So we're going to fill some keywords in over here. Some keywords that we are going to use is using the 5 senses. So we're going to write appeals to the senses. Another one that we're going to use is it describes something. Another keyword is mental image. Another one is our figurative language, which we reviewed earlier that we should already know. And our last one is comparisons. I'll give everyone a second to write those all down and go ahead and flip your paper over when you're ready. All right, looks like everyone is ready. So we're going to use these keywords to help us in filling out our diagram. So first we're going to go over number 4, classifying the characteristics. There are a few ways to know when imagery is being used correctly. So first we're going to go over the always present category on our diagram, which is the first one right here with solid lines. Imagery always appeals to the senses, so we're going to write that on our first line here. Appealing to the senses is using all 5 senses when we're able to. Sometimes when using imagery, we can't use all of our senses, but regardless, it still appeals to these senses. More than one. Next, imagery always uses descriptive language. So that's using things like adjectives to describe what we're talking about, and using more than just smells good. We want to use descriptive words like, what does good mean? Okay. Third, imagery is always used to describe something. That something can be an object, it can be actions, ideas, weather, and pretty much anything else that could be described. Lastly, imagery always involves helping readers form a mental image of what they're reading. So we're going to write forms a mental image. The overall purpose of imagery is to help our readers form mental images of what they're reading, so that way they can be more engaged in what they're reading, comprehend better, and use their imagination. Next, we will fill in the sometimes present section with the squiggly lines. There's only a couple for this one. So imagery sometimes uses figurative language. Like we talked about before, figurative language is language that doesn't necessarily have its normal or literal meaning. So that might be saying something like, it's raining cats and dogs, which is a common phrase, which we know means it's raining really hard, but we know that it's not actually raining cats and dogs. Next, imagery sometimes uses metaphors or similes for comparison. So we'll write metaphors / similes. Like we reviewed before, metaphors are comparing something without using like or as, and similes are comparing things while using like or as. Lastly, imagery sometimes uses literal language to describe something. We discussed this earlier before the lesson as well, that literal language is using words that mean exactly what we say. So if we say it is raining hard is literal language, and saying it is raining cats and dogs is figurative language. All right, moving on to the next one is the never present category right here with the dotted lines. We only have one in the never present category, and that is imagery never uses technical language. Which we know from before also is language that is used by specialists doing instructions or talking about things in specific fields. All right, now we're going to move on to our next step. We're going to do examples right here. So let's try some examples that I already have picked out. I could hear the cracking of the firewood as I sat in the warm living room. Can anyone tell me what the words are that show imagery?
Cracking, warm.
That is exactly right. The next one is chocolate engulfed my mouth when I bit into my mom's freshly baked cookies. What are the words that show imagery in this sentence?
Engulfed.
Exactly. What else could we say? What engulfed my mouth?
Chocolate.
Exactly. And the last example is the sparkle of the bright white snow was blinding. What are the imagery words used in this sentence?
Bright and blinding.
Yep, and we could also say sparkle, and we could say white. As you guys can see, I don't have those written on mine, but they're already printed on yours that I handed out. And now that we've gone over those, we can go over some non-examples. Non-examples do not mean opposite. They are examples of sentences missing something from the always present category or using something from the never present category. So the first one you guys have on your sheet is, I enjoy spring days as much as summer days. Although this uses a comparison, but none of our always present characteristics are shown, and it doesn't appeal to any senses, doesn't use descriptive language to describe anything, and doesn't form a mental image. The next one you guys have on your sheet is, we have concluded that more studies must be done in order to properly assess the data. Can anyone tell me what kind of language is being used here?
Technical language.
Exactly. Perfect. And that is a never present characteristic. The last one you guys have on your sheet is, it snowed all day, so we couldn't drive anywhere. What are they describing here?
The weather.
Exactly. So it might be describing something, which is the weather, but it's missing all of the other always present characteristics. So now that we've got those cleared up, we can move on to practicing with a new example. So now I want everyone to pull out a scratch piece of paper, and if you need a piece of paper, please raise your hand and I can bring one over to you. All right, looks like everyone's ready. Here are the instructions for your task, and listen carefully the first time around. I want everyone to write 2 examples of imagery and 1 non-example of imagery without labeling them. Once you are finished, raise your hand and I will come and check your sentences. After I check your sentences and they are okayed by me, trade papers with your table partner and see if you can identify and write which sentences are examples and which is the non-example. So I'll give you guys time to do that right now, and I'll even write it on here so you guys remember what you're supposed to be doing. And remember that a non-example is not an opposite, but it is missing always present characteristics or using never present characteristics.